cake. In the evening, Larry remembered all the sweet moments with Asher and thought that Asher's curse would soon be completely cleared, and it seemed that his mental state had also improved. Since time is running out, she will have to abandon many of the plans that she wanted to implement with Ash. Larry was afraid, but she told herself that everything was fine, and she just needed to be patient and everything would be fine again. And at the tea party, Madame Sherbet brought gifts for everyone. Larry was impressed that she had chosen a color scheme for everyone, for each of them. Larry noticed that Sharia was unhappy and asked what was wrong with her, and Sharia began whining that she liked pink better. Pink also goes well with her eyes, Sharia hinted to Larry to give her her gift. Larry, of course, understood everything and remembered how stupid Rayan constantly took all her things. And all the same, she showed nobility and said that if she wanted it that way, then they could change. And the girls called Sharia with displeasure. Larry said it was okay, but Madame Sherbet was the one who carefully chose each ribbon, so it was all up to her decision. And Madame answered uncertainly that if Larry didn't mind, then both she and stupid Sharia, like a child, rejoiced at their profitable exchange. Madame Sherbet and the princess were worried, and Genevieve asked if she really didn't mind, and the princess said that she didn't have to indulge her at all. However, Sharia did not even think about stopping, and again asked a tactless question about her relationship with Duke Candel. Larry decided to say that at first they were connected by a contractual relationship, but she realized that it was not worth saying such a thing. Therefore, she simply nodded. Then Madame Sherbet said that it was the first time she saw him bring a girl to the salon, and the princess said that it was the first time she saw the Duke smiling. And Sharia said that it was the first time she had seen such a handsome man, and asked why there were such rumors about him. All three girls thought that although he was handsome, he always smelled of rotting flesh, and one told Sharia that whether he was handsome or not, he already had a lover, a beautiful girl. And Sharia again crossed the line and asked if they were going to get married, and Larry replied that she did not want to answer this question. Then Sharia smiled disgustingly and said that she understood everything. Larry noticed her duplicity. Asher was training at the time and asked Gerard if he had been neglecting his training all this time. Gerard thought that today was clearly not his day, and he asked what he had done wrong. Asher said that Doha Arkiel, being the son of a merchant, was immersed in religion from childhood. Gerard thought that he was in such a mood because of yesterday's incident. When the lady killed a man while saving the priest, he ordered to find all the information about this priest. It is strange that none of them know that he is the next pope. Asher said that his case was too perfect, as if it had been specially prepared. Gerard replied that he would continue to look for information about him, and he also wanted to discuss the previous meeting. Gerard wanted to know if he had made a decision. He spoke about the dispute between the dukes, who said that relations between the Harshan Empire and the Danube Kingdom were not improving in any way. Everyone said that they needed to prepare for war, and they were tired of using all means. As expected, everyone decided that Duke Candel should go to the front line. They believed that the other dukes were too old to go to the very center of wars. However, Asher decided that he would not go anywhere before. He would have agreed without a doubt, but now he does not want to leave Larry. He said that they could not force him to leave and asked what was happening with the recruits in Lenoche. Gerard replied that there was no need to worry. Melosa volunteered to train them. He said that the master always supported them. That's why they follow him. So newbies will definitely feel it and follow suit, but there are a couple of people. Gerard did not finish speaking as Larry went outside. She was worried because she could not contact Doha. She tried to contact the temple, but she did not receive an answer. She approached Asher and said that he was exhausted from training, and Larry said that she would help him wash up. But then she started teasing him, asking if maybe they should take a shower together. Asher hugged Larry and said that then they would go to the bathroom right away. Asher recalled that she suggested they take a bath together. Larry laughed and said that it was only a joke and she would wash him instead. Before, he couldn't even hold her hand because of embarrassment, Larry thought. Asher said that if she was going to wash him, she should do it properly, and that meant washing him thoroughly with soap. He took her hand and pulled her into the bathroom, asking in a whisper if it was better to take a bath together. Larry was angry that this scoundrel was deliberately teasing her. Then she said that perhaps she should just wash him today. And when Asher was distracted, Larry grabbed a basin of water and poured it on Asher's head. Then Asher asked her to come closer, but she just moved away, and Asher decided to get up and approach her. Larry started to run away, and Asher warned her not to run away as it was dangerous, but Larry replied that he looked much more dangerous at the moment. Asher caught Larry and picked her up and said that it was his turn now, but he carried her not to the bathtub, but to the bed. In the morning, Larry was already exhausted, and Asher left for the Imperial Castle, a terrible beast. But he said that it was not he who started, but she. Butler Halstein came and said that today the temple still did not contact them. She was worried about Doha, and when Holstein asked if she had plans today, and Larry replied that she needed to go downtown today, she slowly needed to prepare to leave. Larry dressed comfortably and walked around the city. She thought that she needed to buy comfortable clothes, a bag, and books. Doha gives her enough money after every treatment, so she doesn't need to worry about money. It's the best feeling. And if this time someone tries to attack her, she will now be able to fight back. It was not in vain that she studied magic. All this time, Jared continued to follow Larry, hiding in the ceilings, beating pickpockets and so on. Larry was shopping for things, so it was hard for her to drag the bag. Suddenly, in the crowd of people, Larry noticed his friend Princess Eliza. She was very happy to see her friend here. But then two imbeciles began to joke about the princess's height, and she definitely did not have a serious relationship, because no one would want such a girl. And Larry decided to teach these guys a lesson and went up to them and said that her friend was in the alley. She said that she would like to talk to them. They finally fell for it and already began to fight for her, but of course, when they entered the alley, there was no one there. And when they complained that no one was here, Larry replied that it was Justice that called them here and threw a bunch of objects at them using her magic. It turns out that the princess was nearby all this time and watched the entire performance. Larry became embarrassed and asked at what point she had been watching, and Eliza replied that she was surprised when she stated that her friend was Justice. So she saw everything, Larry thought, and Eliza told her that she was quite skilled at using magic and asked if she would like to work for her in the future. Larry thought that she didn't have much and no future because of her illness, and then Elizabeth hugged him tightly and said that they could talk about it later. And then she dragged her away, saying that now she would buy something tasty, because the time was right. At this time, Doha and Joshua were on the same street, and they noticed how Larry was walking with some guy. That's what Joshua said. They decided that Eliza was a guy. Doha wanted to kill him, wipe him off the face of the earth, but he just wanted to continue to use this girl. He just needed her next to him, and Doha continued to convince himself that he was not in love with anyone. In the temple, we are shown how that gloomy man told Doha that there was not a moment when he would regret bringing him to this temple. Doha replied, "Good," because he was of rather humble origin, and then the man asked what was the matter. Dad's health is deteriorating, so he poses an immediate threat to him. Although he has more authority and connections than Doha, his abilities are superior to anyone else. Since he is the second candidate for Pope, he certainly wants Doha dead. The man said that he had recently heard that he had been clearing out outside the temple, as if he was hiding something interesting outside. Doha became worried. He thought that he should never know about his charm, his preciousness. He couldn't let that disgusting bastard hurt Larry, Doha worried. Therefore, I decided to simply make fun of the old man, saying that he has a fairly developed imagination. They say that with age, you become more and more like a child. Doha came closer and whispered to him that this was the last warning, and he had better not provoke him further. After all, he doesn't know what he can do in a fit of rage. And suddenly the old man told Doha that he is no different from his mother, started an affair and acts like a fool. This greatly affected our Doha, who had a difficult relationship with his mother, and he grabbed the old man and was about to hit him. Doha remembered how he walked with his mother, how she fed him, and said that she loved him very much, and that she could not live without him. Joshua held his hand and shouted that he forgot that he had an important meeting scheduled. Doha seemed very angry. He didn't know what exactly happened, but decided that first he needed to calm him down so that there were no unpleasant consequences. Therefore, Joshua said that he received a letter from the Candle Duchy. They asked him to come. He ignored them, as he said, but Joshua offered to respond to this letter. For a minute, Doha was happy, remembering Larry, but then he remembered how that old man asked about his beloved. Then he will definitely use Larry as his weak point. This should never happen, and if he misses something because of his stupid feelings, it would be a mistake to meet Larry again, because he loves Larry. So Doha told him not to contact them again and he wanted to go for a walk and ordered the carriage to be prepared. Looking at how Larry smiled with what he thought was a guy, he repeated that this feeling was just an illusion, but could not help himself, and ordered Joshua to send a letter to the Candel Duchy, and tomorrow he would visit them. Back to Larry, Princess Eliza admitted that she really liked her, and if it weren't for her brother, she could have met her earlier. And then she said that recently there have been unpleasant rumors about him. They say that he is suffering from a terrible illness, and he does not leave the mansion. There are rumors that his appearance was terribly disfigured, and that he became disabled as a result of an accident. They also said that he suffers from a disease associated with Manhwa. They say that the Duke and Duchess cannot find a place for themselves. Because of this, she said that he has Rockadura's disease. Larry thought that he had the same incurable disease as hers, which meant that the disease was inherited. Elizabeth said she thought she should tell her because it concerned her family, but she still seemed to be shocked and apologized. Larry became worried and felt a little nauseous. If she had spoken about her illness, she might have been treated differently. Because of this, she was annoyed and sad, although she had nothing to fear, because her future was already predetermined. Eliza took Larry's hand and asked if she was okay. Her complexion was not healthy. But Larry lied again and said that of course everything was fine with her, and she even felt relieved. Larry thought that she didn't want anyone to know about her terrible death, so she needed to die alone in a place where there was no one. The next day, Doha came to see Larry, and she ran up to him and asked if he understood how worried she was about not being able to contact him. Doha was surprised, and Larry asked that he was busy looking for the mercenary customer, and if he had any other injuries. However, Larry asked him to contact her more often because they should be in touch. Doha randomly asked out loud what kind of connection she was referring to, and Larry replied, a connection like between close friends. Then he took his hand in his and began treatment. Larry thought that thanks to Doha, she felt much better. She would like to die without pain. And Doha was already embarrassed, just holding her hand, his heart jumping out of his chest. He thought that she should not feel his heartbeat through the touch of his hands, and if she understands everything, then she will probably avoid him. Doha really began to worry about such trifles. Suddenly, Hallstein looked menacingly at Doha and told Larry that she had received a letter. Doha was also not happy about the appearance of the butler. Larry was joyfully surprised when she read that the letter was from Eliza to her beloved companion. She felt awkward when she saw Doha's reaction, so she said that before they were just acquaintances of this person. But now they have become friends. The First Lady, with whom she became friends, said that she had a lot of common interests, so now they are good friends. Doha was clearly jealous, so he walked up to her and took locks of her hair, telling her that when they were alone, let her focus on him. She thought Doha felt slighted, and Doha walked away and apologized for overstepping his bounds, but Larry said she understood it could be controversial. And they went into the room to start the lesson. Outside the window, Doha saw a knight who served the Duke of Candel. He used the skill of stealth, and at this time, everyone was shouting and arguing at the meeting. Larry's father was shouting that Duke Candel definitely needed to take part in the war. The Duke said that no matter how many losses there were, they had to fight. Apparently, they themselves had never participated in a war. They said that they could not ignore the preparedness of the soldiers of the Danube Kingdom, but their people would not be enough only if Duke Candel participated. Asher recalled the cries of pain, the pleas for help, how everyone screamed and ran in agony. Remembering all the deaths, Asher sadly thought that he did not want to go to war again. Can he just live with the person he loves? Why can't everyone just leave him alone? Asher thought. Suddenly his thoughts turned when Sharia shouted his name and said that they had met again. Asher got angry because she casually dared to say his name, because only one person is allowed to do that. But she was Larry's friend, Asher thought, and so he calmly told her that he had not given permission to call him by his name. Sharia started whining that she just heard Larry calling him that, so she repeated after her. And she put on the mask again, asking if he remembered her name. Of course, Asher did not remember her name and simply remembered her as friend number 3. She tried to seem nice and said her name and asked her to just call her Sharia. Of course, Asher didn't want to know, but since this is Larry's girlfriend, we need to take it into account. She didn't stop and continued to chat. Asher was already depressed and thought how long he would have to endure and listen to her. Sharia said she and Larry had become very close lately and had decided to meet again next time. Asher thought that if Larry had more girlfriends, then for sure, she would communicate less with that priest. She said that she didn't know what other nobles thought about it, but she didn't think it was right to befriend people based on their status. She still naively assumed that Larry was a commoner. But Asher thought that she was probably talking about the difference between the princess and the other ladies. He decided that she was praising Larry, not herself. Asher smiled when he thought about Larry, and that he wanted to see her. It was so difficult for him all day without her. Seeing Asher smile, Sharia foolishly assumed that he smiled because he likes cute girls like her. She believed that she was a saint because she treats commoners so well. The way she is kind to Larry is a confirmation of her incomparability. How stupid. And Sharia tried to seem nice again and suggested that next time they should have dinner together because it would be nice to get to know each other better. But of course, Asher ignored her attempts at flirting and calmly replied that he would agree only if Larry didn't mind, then quickly ran away from her, dreaming of returning home as soon as possible and seeing Larry so he could kiss her. And Sharia continued to live in her fantasies, asking how long the Duke's relationship with the commoner would last. She told herself that she should be careful not to fall in love with him ahead of time, but she thinks that it is too late.